Don't miss any of our football content this postseason. Going to have instant reactions after every big game. Thanks. Our conference championship reaction is presented by Uber Eats. Game day deals all season long on Uber Eats. I use them all the time. It's time to take a look at this weekend's tastiest matchup in this week's Sunday Night Football, brought to you by Uber Eats. It's official. Kansas City will have the opportunity to face the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, it was interesting watching Philadelphia win, and we'll get to that in 30 minutes, but watching Philadelphia win, I kept thinking during that game, how is Buffalo going to stop Philadelphia's offense? They just do not match up. And I kept thinking during that, I thought, Kansas City will match up fine. They'll make enough stops to give Mahomes a chance to win. Mahomes much, it's a coaching and quarterback matchup for Kansas City against Philadelphia. I'll take Kansas City in that one. But as I watched that game, I'm like, oh boy, Buffalo's going to have their hands full. So let's start. I want to start kind of backwards. So Buffalo all year, I thought, was a really diverse offense. They got away from relying totally on Josh Allen. I think their running backs, they're not Detroit, but they're really good. I like their tight ends. I think their receivers, you have no star. Amari Cooper's not what he was, but it's kind of, again, a diverse group, a slot guy, a big athlete, the veteran, the rookie. And then they go 1 for 5 on tush pushes. Now, Bills fans will say we went 2 for 5. But when they were trying those, I kept thinking, John, guys, you have great backs. Second to Detroit, in my opinion, in the league. You have 2 excellent backs. You have tight ends. You're not now going to revert back to 4 years ago Buffalo, where Josh Allen on every 4th down. I mean, you knew exactly what they were doing. And Kansas City, conversely, though they use Mahomes, I never know what the hell they're going to do on 3rd and 2 or 4th and 1. I have no idea. I'm totally left guessing. So my first take was, okay, you reverted back to the Buffalo that can never beat Kansas City. You got tight, you got conservative, and situationally, you got very predictable, and it drove me nuts. Your take on that as we start?
Well, let's start with the Eagles tush push that the Bills use. I think when you watch the Eagles do it, I hate the play because it's so automatic.
Yeah.
But when they run the play, you can't see Jalen Hurts. He disappears. When the Bills run it, what did Nance say on the first time they ran at the beginning of the game? That Spags and the defenders told him yesterday that Josh likes to go left. Not only does he like to go left, he goes high.
Yes.
Obviously, he did the one Drew Brees jump over, but even when he's not going to jump over, he goes high. The guy's 6'6", 250 pounds, but he does not do the Jalen Hurts under.
Nope.
They clearly scouted that. And let's face it, Kansas City's defensive line on these short yardage plays. You know the story of this Kansas City, let's just call it what it is. They're the Bulls right now. They play in these games, they're going to win them. Yeah. Their defense has always, in these big games, against the Niners, against the Eagles, all their big AFC championship wins, their defense comes through. And tonight, 4th and 5, the tush pushes and the 2-point plays were fantastic. 4th and 5, with one of the great talents we've ever seen in Josh Allen. Spags brings that corner blitz, and even Romo's like, you would not have expected. He just lined over the corner, and the guy was in the backfield like that, and that turned out to be the game.
Yeah, on the biggest play of the season for the Bills, Josh Allen was reduced to a semi-Hail Mary. Yep. That's what their season was reduced to. So it's coaching. Spags is the best.
Think about this, Colin. They knew he'd want to go right. He's not going to scramble, throw across his body. So they knew he'd go right. They had the corner line up. The corner just looks like he's playing normal defense. And in a split second, he's already in the backfield. You could argue that, the tight end should have caught the ball, but still, it's a freak play.
I really, watching this tonight, there's an MJ Tiger Woods feel. They all wore red. Mahomes on Sunday, Tiger on Sunday, and MJ in the finals. And not only do they elevate to another gear, let's face it, Mahomes in these big games against Buffalo, it's just different. He runs more aggressively. He runs more often. He is much more focused. I mean, listen, there's regular season Mahomes. There's playoff Mahomes. Then there's Mahomes in Super Bowls and getting to Super Bowls. He absolutely elevates. Josh Allen, I thought, on the first drive was nervous. Tony Romo called him out. Kansas City's first drive, Mahomes was on fire.
Oh,
Completely on fire. But this is where he's Jordan. Jordan would play these games, and Michael had bad games. Michael lost to the expansion Raptors, if I recall, like twice. Michael had games where he shot poorly. But Michael would get into these 6-minute stretches where steam would come off his head, and it's like, oh, that you only got that, Michael, like in May and June. That's the only time you got it. Or it was a big TV game on a Sunday, prime time on like NBC. Mahomes, from the very first drive, he was different. He was never anxious, never rattled, totally focused, more aggressive than he usually is. And I thought, John, the first drive of the game for Buffalo was aimless. The first drive for Kansas City looked like we know exactly where their weakness is. And so remember, they deferred it, right?
yeah.
So Kansas City at home, 7-0 lead after a terrible Bills opening drive, and they're getting it to open the second half. Right there, with a 7-0 lead at home, getting the second half kickoff, your chances of winning are over 60%. Not that that was the game, but that is an indicator of how the game was going to flow.
Yeah, I mean, he could have thrown Josh Allen on that first drive, 2 interceptions on the first 3 plays.
Yes.
I will say this for him, though. As the game went on, he real settled down and looked like, one of the greatest players on the planet, and obviously gave his team a chance to win. But I actually thought the game could have been over at the end of half when it was 21-10 and the Bills got the ball. And they ended up not getting the 2 point, but they got 6 points. I thought they had to get a field goal. They ended up getting 6 points. That kept them alive. But, speaking of the Bulls, if memory serves me correct, weren't they struggling to win Game 7 in 1998 against the Pacers just to make it to the NBA Finals? And, remember then Scottie Pippen's back was bad. That's what this kind of felt like. I mean, they were down 22-21 in the second half. And I wrote down, maybe the Chiefs just ran out of magic. And then they didn't, because the Bills fumbled. They get the ball back. They score. They have a 7-point lead with 10 minutes. And you're just like, there is no way the Kansas City Chiefs with a 7-point lead with 10 minutes to go at home are going to lose this game. Because then the Bills even scored and tied the game, but it doesn't matter because then they flipped it where they're always going to get the ball after they tie the game. So they started getting in control once they took the lead in the fourth quarter.
John, I always say this. When a game is over, losing teams, unless it's a blowout, always blame the refs. It's why I can't watch games with fans. So if I would have told you as a Buffalo Bills fan, you're going to fail on multiple 2-point conversions, you're going to get super conservative in the second half, you're going to fumble 4 times, albeit you recover all of them, and you're going to have a horrible opening drive, and Kansas City's opening drive is going to be razor sharp. Does it sound like you would win? I mean, just say it out loud. Failed 2-point conversions. 1 for 5 on the Josh Allen tush push. Could not make big stops on Mahomes on the last drive. What does it sound like? Like